Well, I found that really interesting, because in the book you say that actually if you feminize men, that might give them more of a, might have more of an allure towards, these very fascistic ideologies.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That's standard psychoanalytic. That's like psychoanalysis 101. If you repress something, it comes back with a vengeance.
Okay, so tell me what you mean by feminizing in that sense.
You thought it's okay to be weak.
Nobody cares about when you do that and there's like muscles there. Nobody cares.
I can feel you fade away from the kitchen to the bathroom.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Don't cut me down, throw me out, leave me here to waste. I once was a man, slipping through the cracks of your cold embrace. So please, please, would you
That video is an example of what I would call the collective unconscious given technological form. The collective unconscious is the idea that all human beings share a fundamental structure in their psyche. And images like the ones you saw, or mythological images that extend back in history, those are the outcroppings or the projections of that collective unconscious. And that video obviously is kind of very cringy and, weird and whatnot. But there are many TikToks like this in the same vein of what appears to be a projection, an archetypal projection of the experience that a lot of kids have and how they feel that social media has, sort of ruined their lives. And with the increasing rates of mental health issues, that seems to be a reasonable position to have.
And I have a really big insecurity that when I was growing up, I had access to an iPad, computers, gaming consoles that allowed me constant stimulation. And when you're offered the internet, you just turn to that. That's what every kid will naturally turn to. It's not a natural interest, it's just a lot of stimulation. It's no doubt that the men of today are weak, including me. The level of comfort that we have been provided since we were born is just on a historically unprecedented level. The thing is, it appears like it's the best time to be alive, but it's not. People are very sad. We have so much comfort, but so little happiness.
Now, the implication at the beginning of this video is that men are being feminized, and while eating poorly, for example, has nothing to do with the feminizing of men, the repression and criticism of masculinity that saturates our culture, from the colloquial use of ambiguous and imprecise terms like male privilege, all the way up to the medicalization of masculinity itself, is what Peterson warns about.
That's like psychoanalysis 101. If you repress something, it comes back with a vengeance.
And this is why this is so vital to understand. Notice the images used in these TikToks. Again, they are deeply archetypal. Like with this anime scene, you could just as easily have replaced it with images of warriors from Lord of the Rings, or modern warriors, or perhaps Christian crusaders or Viking warriors. And the disturbing reality is that historically, this use of archetypal imagery to capture the repressed psychological energy of depressed, dejected, and resentful people is exactly what occurred in places like fascist Germany, where a certain German dictator obsessively utilized propaganda that alluded to European mythology and other archetypal portrayals of masculine heroism. And also in these TikToks, you'll see heroic portrayals of the masculine builder and laborer, which is exactly the kind of imagery appropriated by those in the Soviet Union, say. Now, we obviously haven't gotten to the same point in history as fascist Germany or Soviet Russia, but you can see how these psychological mechanisms we've discussed explain a lot of the cultural trends you see in your social media feed, like how people gravitate towards certain figures like the late Kevin Samuels, or more recently, everyone's favorite mega chad, Andrew Tate.
Women should clean up. Not only should women clean up should clean up unprompted. And I'm going to tell you why. And if a woman wants to be very, very successful in her life, no matter what it is, at some point there's a man in charge telling her what to do. If you want to be the best webcam girl in the world, you want to make 50 grand a month, you need a man to make sure you do it right. And another reason is because women are intrinsically lazy.
Now, the fact that Tate says such clearly biased and deeply inaccurate nonsense is an indication of exactly who young men in particular feel are to blame for their problems. And you know, this whole topic, you know, going into Andrew Tate and watching TikToks, it might seem like it's just kind of a funny cultural analysis, but the reality of the problem, particularly with young men and their relationship to social media and their repression of masculinity, at least from their perspective, that seems to be the case. It has very real and very severe consequences.
Now, what kind of mindset would it take to go murder children in an elementary school? You are so disconnected from other human beings that seems okay to you. What could be adding to the feeling of disconnection we have from one another? Well, in 2020, adults in the United States spent an average of 8 hours every day on digital media, staring at a screen. One of the people who spent an awful lot of time online during the pandemic was the shooter in Uvalde. He reportedly played a lot of Call of Duty instead of going outside. The shooter in Buffalo also spent a lot of time online as well. In fact, he blamed the internet for radicalizing him. Staring at a screen all day puts you into your own world, and in some small number of cases, it drives you insane. It makes you mentally ill and violent. That's very obvious. That's one of the reasons that people in Silicon Valley, the tech executives, don't want their own kids lose themselves in their stupid iPads.
Now, despite all this negativity, I think there are reasons to be optimistic. First off, videos appealing to young boys that idolize getting in shape or engaging in productive and creative pursuits, or anything that speaks positively to the masculine spirit deep in their psyches, is probably a good thing. And when it comes to their declining mental health, I think the answer lies in what many feminists have been advocating for decades, which is getting rid of the toxic cultural notions that men can't talk about their feelings or express their feelings, or have open and honest conversations about mental health.
There's a stigma in this world that men can't talk. Listen, if you're a man and you've got weight on your shoulders and you think the only way you can solve this by killing yourself, please speak to someone. Speak to anyone. So please, let's get rid of this stigma and men start talking.
And to this day, one of my favorite TikTok videos, complete with a cheesy soundtrack and a misspelling in the caption, which is so iconic of a video made for and by children, is one of a certain well-known masculine figure expressing exactly the kind of vulnerability that is needed to overcome the kind of depression and repression and isolation that is so harmful for so many individuals. So, good luck, Godspeed, and I'll leave you with Mike Tyson.
The art of fight, I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring. Because that's all I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for. And now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you believe in me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss them. Because sometimes I feel like a bitch. Because I don't want that person to come out, because if he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just, I hate that guy. I'm scared of him.